Welcome back to Still a Part of Us. We had the most beautiful conversation with Yaz today about her son Tommy. You guys, I need you to go listen to it because you're gonna be like, what just happened? And just some beautiful things that also were able to happen with her and her family. And so thank you again, Yaz, for coming on, talking to us a little bit more about what your grief journeys look like. So welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
And as a way to kind of get everybody oriented, tell us what happened to Tommy. And at the time of this recording, how long ago was he born?
Tommy was born at 38 weeks, probably close to 5 months ago, so fairly recent.
Hmm.
He was born via emergency C-section due to a low fetal heart rate. He passed shortly during birth.
And I, that it was, it is really a very emotional story. So I encourage you to listen to it. It's so beautiful and so many things that were heartbreaking. And with that, Yaz, I wanted to just start out. It's been 5 months, and you reached out to us. Like I'm always shocked. I'm like, how are you functioning to reach out to
Yes.
tell his story? So I'm wondering how did those the first couple of months look like, and then also just until now.
Hmm.
You had mentioned in your previous story that you immediately went to your mom's house, your mom and dad's house, and stayed there for a few weeks just so that they could essentially take care of you, and
Yes.
which is wonderful. But tell me how it felt for you to in that first month, the first
Yes.
couple of weeks even.
Yeah, so the first month was those are the trenches. Those are
Yeah.
that month was definitely really hard for me, and it's the new year, it's January. He was born in December, so we buried him January 2nd, so a day after New Year's. And that month was definitely a lot of hopelessness. It was definitely a lot of emptiness. When tragic things happen, a lot of people want to surround you and want to be with you, but honestly, I just wanted to be left alone. Just wanted to be alone, and I just wanted to cry. I just wanted to be left alone, and I just wanted to cry. I did leave my parents' house after Christmas Day. We came home, and that alone was really, really hard because we had this whole house set up for him, and I had washed his bottles already, and I had set counters in the kitchen set aside for his plates and his bottles, and his nursery was done, and worked so hard on it
Mhm.
so that he could come home to this beautiful nest, and just for all of that to essentially not be used.
Yeah.
And that was really, really hard. And it took me a while for me to even attempt to go into his nursery.
Mhm.
Um, I couldn't do it. My husband, he was able to do it. I just didn't feel strong enough to do that. And I think for me, it made it more real that this actually happened.
Yeah.
Because at the time, the first month, it was very much a sense of denial that this actually happened. Like it felt like I was still pregnant. I was still waiting for him to come home, and this didn't really happen because his nursery is still there. But
Yep.
if this actually happened, then his why is his
Why is it?
nursery still there?
Yeah.
And your mind just does things to try to cope with this and try to make it make sense when it doesn't make any
It
sense.
doesn't at all.
And
The other thing, okay, I just want to also point out you were put under completely when you went in for your emergency C-section. So you
mhm,
were not awake at all and did not
mhm,
see you. It was like what, 3 hours later before you
yes,
found out what happened. And so like
yes,
there's got to be a huge that would have been a huge disconnect for me. Just like, no, 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 we're still going along.
yes.
Yeah.
It very much felt like that. It was, you know, it was that the first 2 months, it was a lot of not wanting to be alive. It was a lot of what's the point of this then? What's the point of living? And you don't see the purpose anymore after you've lost your baby.
Yeah.
And that was very much the case for me. And the best way I could describe it is I couldn't see color anymore. I couldn't see color anymore. Everything just seemed so gray, so black and gray. I couldn't see the trees weren't green, the grass wasn't green, the flowers, weren't bright. Like nothing seemed to have color anymore. And everything just seemed so colorless and dull. And even, our home, it's a brand new house. And at the time I was painting and putting up artwork, and I just didn't see the purpose in making this a home anymore. I didn't see the purpose of why am I gonna clean my house? Why am I gonna take a shower? Why am I gonna get up in the morning? Why? There's no more reason for anything. And that's very much how that definitely felt the first 2 months. Definitely felt like that. And everything felt like such a drag.
Yeah.
Everything feels like such a drag. And I I go to the cemetery every single day
Mm.
till this day, whether it's a maternal thing because I know my son's body is there,
Yeah.
or if it's just makes me feel good. I'm not sure what it is, but I those first 2 months I was there 2 times a day.
Mhm.
I would go in the morning and I would go in the afternoon, but it it was not easy the first 2 months.
It really is
It's
so the way you described it as nothing had color, and it really feels that way. Yeah.
yes,
That was a really nice analogy just to be like how despair, like how the despair sets in and yeah.
yeah,
You mentioned that you really liked being alone and people were well-meaning and wanted to and a lot of times we do tell people just be okay with them, be, come talk to them and sit with them and be with them. And we've had also a lot of people say that I just want to be alone. Sometimes you don't want to be around people. And I guess maybe I'm curious how you would, did you tell your family members or your friends just like, hey, I actually want to go sit in here and just be by myself. How did you approach that? Um,
yeah. Very much a people pleaser, and it was very hard for me to stand up, I guess,
yeah,
because I didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings by like kicking them out of my house or telling them to leave me alone because it just felt like they just wanted to be here for me and I should at least give them that
yeah,
to be here with me. But yeah, no, it was really hard for me to tell them I want to be left alone.
yeah,
So like my home was always the first couple of weeks there's always someone here with my husband and I. And my husband, of course, he also wanted to be left alone. But your family has this way of thinking that we need to be with them because they're in so much, pain, and we just need to be there for them and like, try to like feed them and do things for them and just be there. But that was just not the case that we just wanted to
mhm,
be
mhm,
left alone, my husband and I. And I never told him that. And that's something that I advise moms, who are going through loss that to speak up if they, don't want anyone around. And a lot of times we don't want to hurt our loved ones. We don't want to hurt their feelings, and we just don't say anything. And I think that's something that I regret is just being okay with telling them to leave me alone.
yeah.
Yes, definitely.
I personally think that they're not going to be offended. They're really just
Hmm.
so trying to help you with whatever that
Yes.
looks like. And so
Yes.
if it is surrounding them or versus giving them plenty of space so that they can grieve the way that makes sense. Yeah, that's a tricky one. I have a little bit of a people pleaser streak in me as well, and so it's really hard to ask for space or to ask for somebody's help. I mean, either way, right? Like
Yes.
it's hard. Um,
Yes.
ask for what you need, I think. is the bit of advice, ask for what you need, right?
Yes.
You and your husband, it sounds like your husband kind of wanted a little bit of alone time too. Like that was another
Hmm.
uh, a thing that helped him. Um, I'm would you tell us a little bit about what that grieving process has looked for him, for you, kind of as a couple? Has it been
Yeah.
different? Have you been doing it together? Like, tell me what that's looked like.
Yeah. So we've definitely, obviously, I feel like everyone grieves very differently.
Yeah.
We both have grieved differently. I feel like for me, I've learned that talking about it makes me feel better, makes me feel like I am remembering him, and it's I mean, who doesn't like to talk about their babies?
Yep.
And so I think that's helped me grieve, just talking about him and looking at his pictures and things like that. But for my husband, he's been very private about the whole thing. He's definitely grieved in silence. He at first he did not wanted to see therapy. He didn't want to seek therapy,
Mhm.
but I feel like for someone like my husband who was not talking about it, he would benefit from therapy.
Mhm.
Whether he didn't want to talk to me about it or a friend about it, I think it would have been he definitely needed that, and he is seeing therapy. He's going to therapy till this day, and it's definitely helped him a lot. The way that we grieve, it's almost like we take turns in a way. Like if
Oh,
I'm yeah, like if I'm having a a bad, we have a code word for when we're like having a bad day.
yeah.
If I say the code word, he kind of becomes a strong one and allows me to cry and allows me to feel everything I need to feel. And he holds me and hugs me, and vice versa. If he is having a bad day, then I compose myself and I'm strong for him and allow him to cry and allow him to grieve. And we sit in sadness, and a lot of times my husband likes to go into the nursery and he likes to lay on the carpet and just weep, and I go in there and we just, it's weird, but like somehow we just started to kind of do that. Like one is okay, so the other one's okay to not be okay, and it's just like someone has to be strong for the other person, and that's definitely how we've been doing it.
That is really so so nice. Like I like that you have a code word too. Like seriously,
Yeah.
what a good idea of just
Yes.
so you know when it's like I this is not looking good for me today or
Mhm.
whatever. Yeah, that's so hard. You mentioned that you had at the end of the other episode you talked about how you tried therapy and you felt like at least the therapist that you were running into were
Mhm.
really wanting you just to take medication and
Yes.
so you didn't want to go that route and so you
Yeah.
have used your mom as a
Yes.
sounding board and she sounds like she is really helping you. Have
Yes.
you talked to your mom about that? Like, mom, can I just talk to you? Like, how did you guys start that?
Yeah, it started, she started coming with me to the cemetery,
Mm,
every Saturday, and we kind of just slowly I started to feel just I guess I started to open up to her how I was feeling, like how I just didn't want to be alive anymore. And obviously, as a mom, that's obviously you don't want to hear that from your child.
no.
I was honest with her because for a minute I was scared of what I could do and how desperate I was to be with my baby. And I opened up to her about it, and she didn't judge me. She just listened. It just felt good to be just letting someone just talk. And she was just listening to me. And then slowly it trickled to, oh, mom, wasn't he so perfect? And oh, yes, he was. And oh, he had the most beautiful blonde hair. And it just slowly started to like, you know, come up like that. And I can't believe this happened, mom. And my mom would, how are you feeling about it? I'm angry. And she would, what are you angry about? And I'm angry at myself. I'm angry at how unfair this is. And she's just been perfect for me to talk to.
She
She's
really like just some of the questions when you said that, I was like, yeah, she is seriously acting like a therapist. She's
yeah, she's amazing. I love her so much, and I know that she's also. I mean, she lost a grandchild
yeah,
too, so not necessarily that she's feeling. She knows exactly how I'm feeling, but she knows the same. She knows the loss that I am going through. Like she lost a grandbaby, and she's trying to just only imagine what I'm going through. And she's honestly been so great. And she pushes me to get better. For a while, I just didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to sit in my couch and watch TV all day, even though I'm not necessarily watching it.
it's just there. Yeah,
It's just there. It's just background
yeah,
noise. Um, but she pushed me to maybe you should start going for walks and maybe you should do this and do that. But she never like, she was never, it was never too much. She was slowly just wanting me to do things. I think also, I don't know if I'm jumping around, but also, I felt very ashamed of what had happened. I felt so much shame. I felt so much, I guess, I, almost like a sense of embarrassment because here I was,
yeah,
I was, planning my baby coming here, and everyone knew that I was gonna have a baby, and um, all of my neighbors knew, and they would see me go for walks with my belly, and oh, the baby's almost here, and then you're here, and you have no more belly, but yet you have no more baby, and I could tell that. I mean, for me, it took me a long time to go outside in the front of my house because my neighbors were outside, and I didn't want anyone to see me. I didn't, I didn't. What were they gonna say? Were they gonna judge me? Were they gonna, say this or say that? And your mind starts to play so many tricks on you,
yeah,
so much tricks on you, and it took me a long time to step out during the day and out and and a lot of times I was always wearing like a hoodie. I needed to cover up. I didn't want anyone to see me. And the truth is, like, we're really close to all of our neighborhood because it's like a double cul-de-sac. So it's now that time has passed, they just wanted to make sure you're okay,
yeah,
and your mind thinks makes you think otherwise, like they're judging you, and
yeah,
they're really not. They just want to make sure that you guys are alive and you guys are surviving. And I could tell at the beginning, they didn't know how to approach me. They didn't know how
yeah,
to, I mean, what do you say to someone who's just lost their baby, And I could tell, like, a lot of the times they would see me come out and they were like, should I go back inside? Like they didn't know how to like react to me.
mm,
I get it because it's weird. It's weird. It's uncomfortable. You don't know what to say to someone who's just lost a baby. But I slowly realized like I had to be the first one to not make things uncomfortable.
yeah,
So instead of me not waving at them, I slowly started to just a quick
yeah,
wave, and then it started to be like, good morning, and it just progressed to better and better and better. And then, now it's like, hey, how are you? And I'm okay. And they're just really, really good. And we just have amazing neighbors, and they come and they check up on us. And if there's anything you need, I'm across the street. That's basically what they've been. And one of our neighbors, we were both pregnant. Um, I was far along, way more far along than she was.
yeah,
When I gave birth, she was already big,
yeah,
and I could tell maybe she didn't know how I was going to react to seeing her, and she
yeah.
kind of just wanted to stay away from me.
Yeah, I was gonna say lay
Um,
low and
yeah,
yeah,
and I appreciate that from her because the honest truth is you do feel almost, for me, I guess I could say, I felt a little uncomfortable seeing a pregnant
yep,
person and babies. I appreciated that she was doing that for me,
Yeah.
trying to stay low. They gave us, her husband gave us, he talked to my husband, and he gave us a little card and said, "We're thinking about you. We always thinking about you, and here's dinner on us." And it was like a little card, and it was beautiful, And I think what I'm trying to say is a lot of the times our minds play tricks on us, making us believe that people are judging us because of what happened.
Yeah.
And the truth is they're not. They just want to make sure we're okay.
Yeah.
And, you know, and that's it.
Yeah. It really is. I well, I'm gonna just this is the way I felt. I felt exactly like I felt ashamed and you feel like a failure, right? Like you
Yes.
said, I was making a baby and I'm gonna bring home a baby. That would be like the evidence that you were successful. And then you don't have a baby to show for all
Yes.
your work. And it seems like you and your husband are very, successful. You guys are like you have jobs of and careers and a home and just to have something that like, oh, that didn't work out like that. So
Hmm.
you start thinking like, I'm a failure. I didn't do what I was supposed to do. And so, yeah, you kind of hide.
Yes.
You kind of hide. But it sounds like your neighbors are awesome. Like,
Yeah, they are. They're great. And I think even though not a lot of time has passed after losing Tommy, I think I've definitely I'm seeing better days now. And that has a lot to do with having a good support system,
yeah.
um, and talking about him
Mm,
for me, because he was real and he did happen and he existed, even if it was for a short amount of time. But I think I was like, I reached out to you because I was like, I need to tell his story because it after losing Tommy, I was so desperate to connect with moms because I felt like no one else was understanding what I was feeling, and you feel so alone, and I just was so desperate to find and connect with
yeah.
other women, and I started to I stopped listening to music, and I started searching like podcasts for moms who, lost, is anyone like talking about it? And because I feel like you hear a lot about miscarriages more than stillbirths because it's not something that a lot of people talk about. And I never heard of a stillbirth until it happened to me.
Yeah.
So I was searching like stillbirth, like on TikTok, moms who are talking about stillbirth, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, there's more moms who've gone through what I've gone through." And I wonder if there's a place where we could tell our stories. And I searched and I came across your Instagram, and I was like, "Oh, that I wonder if I could tell my story." And then I started hearing. I went all the way to the beginning
You did?
of your podcast. I
Oh,
did. I went all the way to when you first started, and I was like, wow, this is such an amazing platform that, that could help me. And I, till this day, I listen to it every single morning on my way to work and on my way back from work. And it's just been so healing and so helpful to hear different stories and different moms and hear the way that they're grieving and how they're angry too. And because sometimes you feel bad for feeling so much anger, and you hear other moms say that they're angry too, how unfair this
yeah.
was. And you're like, okay, so I'm not the only one that
Yeah.
feels like this.
Yeah.
And it was just, still a part of us was very therapeutic for me. And okay, so I'm not alone. So
Yeah.
I'm not going through this alone. And someone else was feeling exactly how I was feeling. And yeah, and I think I found your podcast maybe like a month and a half after losing him.
Mhm.
And I think honestly, Winter, it's what's kept me from spiraling because I almost felt like I wasn't no one understood me.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, not a cousin or a brother or a sister
Yeah.
or an aunt. And just hearing these women go through this, and it was like, okay, so I'm not alone. The way that I'm feeling is not crazy.
Yeah. It's not crazy, which is
It's
so
not,
nice, isn't it? Just to be like, "Oh, okay, this is okay, okay, yeah, yeah,"
yeah,
because you feel crazy.
you do.
You feel just
You
nuts,
do.
and
Yes.
and then you're like, "Oh, wait, just kidding. This is a
It's
pretty
normal.
common this is a pretty
Yeah.
common feeling, actually."
Yeah. Yeah. So,
I I'm s I'm so glad that that has been helpful, because that's
yes.
what we needed to not
Yes.
feel alone ourselves, and so we're like, "We're gonna start this random thing that is makes no
Yes.
sense at all and is the
Yes.
saddest podcast in all the land, I think." And, but I'm glad that you have not felt so alone. What are some things that you've already mentioned a few things that people have done or said that have been helpful, including
Mhm.
just simple cards or like I think
Yes.
that is so awesome that your neighbor is like, here's a gift card so you can get some dinner. That's huge. Something like that you can do
Yes.
on your own time and but is a way to say we're thinking about you. Any other things that your people showed up to do that really felt super meaningful to you?
Yeah. So we, for Tommy's funeral service, our friends and family, they donated, and we didn't have to pay
Oh,
a single thing. So that was
that's
so you can't even there's no you can't even explain how grateful you are for that.
yeah.
And so we we didn't my husband and I didn't have to pay for any of that. So that was really, really nice of them. A lot of my cousins know that I'm very private, so a lot of them chose not to give me a call, but it was more like a quick text.
Mm,
Hey, Yaz, I'm thinking about you. I'm here if you need anything. And they would donate to his like funeral service.
yeah.
And that was so, that meant a lot. A lot of people, specifically my husband's dad, he came and would do the lawn for us, and
Oh,
he would do things like that. He's
yeah,
very much like that type of person.
yeah.
And then my mom's sisters would bring us food and um, buy us food, and my mom would cook food for us. And we got really sick right after the funeral, like a day after his
Oh,
funeral. We both got like a really bad like flu.
you got the flu.
Yes.
Oh,
And so me and my husband were just super sick, and they were dropping off medicine balls for us, like
yeah,
teas and
yeah.
Starbucks, and that was just so, so, so amazing. And I think also I guess there's no perfect way to say I'm sorry. Like it just, people could say I'm sorry for your loss, or I'm so sorry. I can't imagine what you're going through. But I think the best thing someone said to me, and this was my one of my best friends, she said, "This sucks that this happened to you." And that was like the best thing that anyone could have told me.
Yeah.
She didn't necessarily say, "I'm sorry that you lost him. I can't imagine how you're feeling." She literally just said, "This sucks that this happened to you. And it's not fair." And she it was like the most perfect thing because it's not fair, and no one deserves to go through this. And
Yeah.
she's right. This sucked. And
Yeah.
that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, she nailed she got it. Just I
Yeah.
that's exactly what it feels like cuz there's no she wasn't trying to solve it because there's no way to solve it.
Yeah.
She's acknowledging that this situation is terrible and
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
that's a that's a great way of putting it. And it,
Yes.
honestly, it you know, because I think people forget that if you've lost a baby, you feel like I don't know. Anger doesn't. I think people don't think we get angry about that kind of thing,
Yes.
but it kind of nails it on the head of just like, yeah, this sucks, and I'm mad about it, and I'm
Yes.
sorry. This,
Yes.
and so,
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people don't they mean well, but it just doesn't my brain doesn't perceive it like that. Like when people say, "Oh, only God only puts people the strong ones to do this," you know, or um he was too perfect for this world, but it's only okay if I say it. You don't have to say it. You
yeah,
know what I mean? And for some reason, I know that sounds crazy, but it's only okay if I say it.
yeah.
Please don't say it, you
Yes.
know?
Yes, yes, yes. Like,
And
that it really is, like, I wanna emphasize that to anybody that's listening, but don't, yeah, don't say that, "Let me come to that on my own." That is gonna be something that's gonna come from my heart, and it
yes,
does, yeah, it sounds trite when somebody else says it,
yes.
and yeah, so
And another thing is, and I know that it also is meant from a good place, but someone told me once, Yaz, you need to want to get better. And it was just more like, no, you're right. I want to get better, but it's just not what is going on right now. Like, of course, don't want to feel like this. Of course, I don't want to feel sad for losing my baby, but it's not that easy. I can't just snap my fingers and be like, okay, I want to get better. It doesn't, it doesn't work like that.
yeah, and, wow, okay, that
Yeah.
person maybe has not gone through some, yeah,
And I know it's from a good place because I
yeah,
know this person and I know that it's from a really good place because obviously they don't want to see you like this and they want you to get better and they don't want you to look like make like see you in such distress and heartache and they tell you you need to want to get better, you need to want to get better, but it's I can't just snap my fingers.
yeah,
This wasn't something small that happened.
no,
We lost our son. We
yeah,
had to bury our son. I had to watch my husband carry the casket of my baby. And that doesn't go away. That doesn't go away. That is forever with you. And I'm not saying that I'm at the same level of grief that I was at the beginning because thank God I'm not. It just gets easier to live.
yeah,
And that's the truth. The sadness doesn't go away, the heartache doesn't go away. It just gets a little easier to live and gets a little easier to wake up and go to work and put a smile on your face and have breakfast and drink water because at the beginning you have no motivation for any of that,
no,
you know. I keep wanting to just get through this year. I just want to get through the first year because I know the first year is probably the hardest that, I'm not I just keep hearing like the first year is definitely the hardest because it's the first holidays without
yeah,
your baby. It's like I just want this year to get over. I just wish we were at the end of the year and I've gone through all of this already. But unfortunately, I'm only 5 months in.
yeah,
5 months in. Obviously, this doesn't change that I don't want any more babies. Of course, I do want more children. To be quite honest with you, I wanted right away. You're just so, for me, I was just so desperate
yes,
to get pregnant again.
yeah,
But unfortunately for me, I had a C-section and it wasn't an easy C-section. And my doctor told me that he recommended that I waited 6 to 7 months before I would try to get pregnant again. And if I were to have another child, which hopefully we can, it would have to be a repeated C-section
yeah,
because my OB said he would want to take this baby out at 37 weeks. Um,
without, and yeah,
yes, and it's scary because I had a really, obviously my first C-section wasn't the greatest.
no, mm-mm,
So just thinking about going through that again it's what keeps me like wanting to maybe become pregnant again because it's scary,
yeah. There's
you know.
trauma, like, you guys, seriously, you gotta listen to Yaz's story because I'm like, what? There is some, I'm sure that you've had some trauma with that,
Yeah.
that was it just happened so, so fast,
Yes.
and so
Yes. And,
yeah.
yeah.
Yes, I wanna just point out to the listeners, because you said the person that was well-meaning and wanted to you gotta wanna get better. You don't realize that getting better on the other side of it is through grief. Like, you have to, like, go through the grieving, you have to go through the mourning to get to the other side. And so even though you're that person is wanting you to be on that other side, you have to go through it. And that's not easy. You have to
Yeah.
put in the days when you don't want to get up and you get up. And
Yes.
like you said, you don't want to drink water or you don't want to eat food that is nutritious, but you do. And
Yeah.
and so
Yeah, definitely. And for me, I was so desperate to keep my mind occupied. I was desperate to go back to work. I
mm,
was so
yeah,
desperate. But unfortunately, because I did have a C-section,
you,
I had to wait.
yeah.
You know,
How
I
long did
was
you have to wait for the
I had to wait about 8 to 9 weeks
okay,
before I could go back to work. I just took disability. I didn't take family leave. I just took that disability.
yeah,
Um,
like a short-term
yeah,
disability.
a short
Okay.
term. But it just felt wrong having disability and being at home when you're supposed to be taking care of a baby, but instead you're just sitting in your sorrow, and it was torturous. I didn't want to be home. I couldn't wait to go back to work, but then at the same time, I had so much anxiety about going back to work
Yeah.
because everyone at my job knew that I was pregnant. I was on leave, and it was very, very it was crazy the way I was feeling. I didn't know what to do. Like, I didn't want to be home, but I didn't want to go back to work because I didn't know how people were going to react to me or what people were going to say. But I put my big girl pants on and I went to work, and I was greeted with hugs and tears, and it was way better than I thought. It was,
Yeah.
I was having so much anxiety for no reason, because everyone there knew I've been working with them for so long. They were also feeling for me, and
Yeah.
they were just amazing, and they had these like signs all over the office. Welcome back. We miss you so much. We love you. And it was just so amazing. And before we even started the work day, they all gathered around me and we sat down and they said, "Tell us about Tommy." And it
Oh,
was
that is awesome.
so amazing. It was so amazing. I told them the story, what happened, how he looked. We don't know why it happened. It just felt good to talk about it because they acknowledged him.
Yeah.
That it happened. Unfortunately, it happened, but it happened,
Yeah.
and it was great. And it quickly, talked about it, wiped tears on, and kind of started work. It was very much like that.
That is so cool that they said, "Tell us about Tommy." Like, that
Yeah.
is huge. Because
Yes.
yeah.
It was amazing. Yeah. It was honestly having a good support system definitely has gotten me
Mm.
through the rough days, and obviously, it's. I know that child loss also. I know the rate for divorce is really high after losing a child, but I think it made my husband and I even closer and even stronger together. It was funny because my mom was like, "Oh my gosh," my husband's name is Dominic as well.
Mhm.
He was like, "Dominic, if you move, Dominic moves." He's kind of just like hovering over you, making
Really?
sure you're okay.
Yeah.
And he's been so amazing, and I'm so lucky. And yeah, he's been very great because obviously he lost his son as well. Maybe he wasn't carrying him, but he lost his son too. And I know that it couldn't have been hard. I knew it was hard that he had to see me go through all of that, because he saw it all happened, and I was asleep, and
Yeah.
he saw it all,
He
and
was there. He was
that's traumatic. He has really bad PTSD from that. Like, he can't see medical equipment because it really triggers him. And I do want to mention this quick story for Tommy's one month. we decided to we got flowers for all the nurses in the second floor, and we got
Yeah.
flowers for all the nurses in the third floor that were our nurses.
Oh,
And for in his honor, for his 1 month, we went to the hospital, and that was really hard. And we bought the nurses flowers, and we bought Dr. Sawyer flowers and the charge nurse flowers because they were there's a lot of family there, and they were very kind to everyone, and it was just a small appreciation for how kind they were to us. And I remember one of the nurses said, "You are so brave and you are so kind because apart from the outcome of you losing your child, you still came and brought us flowers." And, she was like, even moms who do get to take their babies home, they don't bring us flowers
yeah.
and they had a better outcome, but you didn't have that outcome. And you still had the grace to come and bring us flowers, and we're so, so grateful.
Oh,
And Dr. Sawyer removed all the charges from our medical billing,
what?
um, for her because she wasn't covered through our insurance.
Yeah.
She removed the charges.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
She's an
Yeah, I
angel.
was about to say Dr. Sawyer is awesome. I hope she hears how
Yes.
amazing uh the thanks that you're giving her, because I like
Yes.
hearing that you had such a good experience, and despite how hard this was, you were taken care of.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. It
That
was
is
great.
that is really sweet of you guys to do
Yeah.
that and to go to the hospital, because it is triggering going back to the labor
Yes.
and delivery area. It really is. Like you said, your husband, when he sees medical equipment, I work at a hospital and I cannot go down to that area. Like,
Yeah.
that is still really hard for me.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I can imagine that that is difficult.
Yes.
Yeah, this has been a really awesome conversation. I really have just learned a ton from you, and just amazed at your resilience, um, and how, yeah, you are, how much love you have for Tommy, and just yeah, it's just been really nice to talk to you today. I know that we talked earlier that you wanted to share a poem, and can you tell
Mhm.
us a little bit about that? I want to know
Yeah.
where that came from, and then and I would love to hear it.
Yeah. So this poem was given to us by a family friend, and it was put in a little box with, I forgot, like a little token. And at the time I wasn't ready to open anything. I didn't want to go through anything. And not that long ago, I was cleaning up his nursery and reading all the cards, and I came across this like poem that was engraved in like this block,
Mm.
and it's called the Reunion Heart,
Oh,
and it's it's perfect. It's a perfect poem, and I would love to read it.
I would love to hear it.
It's
Yes.
this.
Oh, look at that.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's like really pretty.
Yeah. Okay. So it's called the Reunion Heart, and it goes, "Since heaven has become your home, I sometimes feel I'm so alone. And though we now are far apart, you hold a big piece of my heart. I never knew how much I'd grieve when it was time for you to leave, or just how much my heart would ache from that one fragment you would take. God, let this tender hole remain, reminding me we'll meet again. And one day all the pain will cease when He restores this missing piece. He'll turn to joy my every tear with thoughts of you I hold so dear, and they'll become my special way to treasure our reunion day. And it's so perfect."
It really is. Oh, I just think, yeah. And when you said that part about being a whole, and yeah, there's always that little hole.
Yeah,
You're missing somebody really important.
yeah. And we're gonna be together again. one day. So I'm looking forward to that day.
Yes, yes, it'll be a happy reunion,
Yes.
like it says. Yes, thank you again so much. I am just so honored to be able to chat with you today, to hear about Tommy's story and to be able to share it with others. So thank you so much again.
Thank you so much for having me. This was very therapeutic.
Good, because it was for me too.